I have a blue tongue skink, a ball python, a tortoise, a crested gecko, three green, not tree, dumpy frogs, and two tarantulas.
Okay, let's stay on this, Kevin, because nobody else has had this assortment of animals on the show that at least I'm aware of. Why do you
Okay.
have this many animals?
Uh, the love for animals has been there since, I was conscious. Yeah, hold on one second. One second, one second.
Okay, I think he's probably going to go check out potentially bringing one of the animals onto the screen here. Who are
Yeah,
we
this is
meeting here,
Humphrey.
sir?
This is Humphrey right here. This is my dumpy frog. I got him like a year ago, I think. I think it's about a year ago. Yeah, we have three of them. We got them all at the same time.
This
He'll
again,
just stay here.
I think he can chill there. It's not a problem. I wish I could
All right,
interview
cool, cool,
him
cool.
and bring him
Yeah.
on.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I
he's
can't.
definitely much more interesting than me, so. Wait,
What
am I
is up,
supposed
ladies
to?
and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcast, Rafa Sparsa, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. I hope that you're doing well. We have an excellent show lined up for you today, a guest that is befitting of your time, and hopefully, if you're on a quintet with this young man, you aren't just sitting back doing nothing, because we'll get to that in a second. Hey, before we get to him, a couple quick reminders. Number one, if you like this show, it would mean the world to me if you go over to one of our sites called HY.PAGE/Grappling Hour. If you go there and you become a member for $5 for early access, you see these interviews 30 days before anybody else. And if you're so kind, and some of you really are, it would mean the world to me if you gave us some support on the premium version. But Rav, what's a premium version? I'll tell you. For an extra few dollars, you can see tape studies with athletes breaking down their matches or their fights, featuring people from the UFC, LFA, uh, Bellator. Yeah, we've touched them all, and all the major grappling organizations. So you can see that. You can also see a segment where people roast my competition footage called Roast Raf, and you can also see extra bonus episodes that aren't available anywhere else. So do that and join our Discord. Our link is somewhere at the bottom of this. Somewhere. I don't know. You can find it. It's at Grappling Hour. Everything's at Grappling Hour. We try to make it as simple as possible. All right, let's talk about our guest today. So, we were doing a fight companion here on the show for our good friends over at the PGF. Now, they did a great kind of their season finale for season 5. I was very impressed. Now they have a lot of things going on, one of which is they say, why don't we put together a little quintet? And I said, that's great. I love watching quintet. Those stories tell great, great, great narratives. Here's the problem, though. You always see people matched up, doing well, crushing it, good competition, good clash between people. But every once in a while, we in the game show world call a runaway. That's a scenario where one contestant just runs away with the whole show. And there was a person who did that in that quintet day, to the point where I saw Ryan Aiken just sitting over on the sidelines. I'm pretty sure filing his nails. I think he ended up just filming some selfies at one point, but he did film one very funny video of our guest today getting so many wins, running through an entire team, that he said, yo, can I get some? So I thought, what a great opportunity to bring a young up and starter, or an up and comer, if you would, but a gentleman who's been very, very good in his competition and has a promising career that is coming up. But I thought it'd be great to get to know our guest today, one, Kevin Beeuhring. Kevin, how are you doing, sir?
Good, how are you guys? Doing
Very,
great.
very well. Are you tired from carrying, Ryan Aiken and all those guys on your back? Because it's one thing to do well in competition, but it's another to have somebody mad or a little upset that they basically came down to compete and may not even get the opportunity to compete. They might be on like the bench, if you would.
Yeah, definitely. Come down 3 hours, probably making the most boring drive you possibly can to Decatur, Alabama, honestly. Especially with my friend Cam, who had to cut about 10 to 12 pounds of weight to come down there, and then not to compete at all. I can imagine it could be
So hold up, hold
pretty
up. You're
frustrating.
telling me that one of your teammates, because there's a certain weight limit, had to cut the weight, and then
Yep.
the entire time was probably, I'm sure post fact, looking at you like, why did I cut any weight, you dick? This is your fault. I couldn't have delicious food. I starved myself for this team.
Yep. 100%. Shout out Cam Chambers.
Did Cam
Gonna
have
weigh in
any
and I can.
issues with you after? Did he? I mean, obviously you guys are in a good space because you all won, so it brings out everybody being
Yeah.
happy. But I get the sense from competitors, they get the sense that they themselves want to go out there and compete. So did Cam pull you
For
aside and I was
sure.
like, "Yo, can you throw this one, man? Like, can I get in on this?"
Well, after I squad wiped the team, we had another um quintet finales match where they didn't let me go up, so he got to go up and compete, and he did really well. So he's not too bad, but
Oh, I get that. And my whole thing is when you get a runaway, we've seen it famously with like Lachlan Giles when I think BJJ Phonetics had a tournament. I was there photographing it. And, Edwin Najmi is a friend, but I've never roasted him more, being like, bro, you were a glorified cheerleader who did nothing that day. But, I roast my friends much like I'm kind of giving Ryan a hard time. But in your particular
yeah.
case, yes, there is an extra opportunity to do it. Had they let you go to a second session, would you have continued doing it? Or did you need the rest at that point?
Oh no, I went out there and I tried to go out there. Brandon actually pulled me back. He said it's not a good. I think it's like a rule in quintet where you can't. The last person to go on has to become the last man in the five team. If that makes any sense?
That is actually a rule, but you're telling me that you
Okay.
were you were thinking about like, well, I guess I should keep going. And
Yep.
Brandon McCatherine, the commissioner, the owner and operator of PGF, had to be like, hey, in his very beautiful Alabama accent, I'm sure, telling you like, hey, we can't have you go out there and do that. You can't beat everybody. That'd be so mean.
100%. 100%. Yep. Trying to win out there. Almost slap bump, and then Brandon pulled us back.
It
Uh,
was it was a confusing thing for a split second because my feedback to our good friends over at the PGF is there's so much happening on their finale day. So, you start with the 8-man and then you go to these quintets and then there's the kind of alternates that they bring on and
yep.
then there's the
Battlerama.
female divisions and then all of a sudden I'm
Hmm.
just like what else do we have going on today? Like at first I
Yeah.
thought it was like, oh, well, it's just going to be the 8-man, right? Nope. We're there. At a certain point, I go, is there going to be a recital? Is there going to be like, here's a white belt sacrifice tournament? Whoever loses gets killed. So when I do see melee like that, it is pretty funny to see those moments where you kind of go, oh no, I was trying to go up there and continue going. So I want to
Yep.
start with this. Let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
What does it feel like when you're on that kind of a heater? It's akin to when you're untouchable in a basketball court. It's when you're basically pitching the perfect game. You're bowling a perfect
Mm,
game. Whatever it
mm.
is, when you're in the zone, what does it feel like to be in that moment to get that kind of shutout? Because it's an impressive performance to be able to do that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I would say that it doesn't happen immediately. It doesn't happen when you walk onto the mat, especially in a quintet where the matches, you're gonna have 5 matches, so they're gonna be pretty, or they should be pretty long. One thing, okay. They should be very long. So I walked out there. In your first match is always gonna be your worst match. Almost all competitors agree. Uh, But once I got through with my first match, then you really start to zone in and have a very like one pointed focus to just submit everybody. And yeah, feels great, honestly. Being locked in the zone, it's kind of why I love competing so much, honestly.
I mean, it's kind of the thing that we all wish would happen. And it's just, it is rare because, there's always the possibility that maybe somebody draws you out. Maybe you're not matched up properly in terms of like, yeah, you can beat this guy. But with quintet and that specific style, you can always be drawn out where, we call it the Raph strategy, where it's like, hey, Raph, he's probably not going to submit you, so just get him out. And
Mm,
that's kind of my skill set is I'm like, maybe I survive. I don't know. We'll see. If
yep.
they put me in, it's not because they think I'm going to win. They're just like, well, you're really annoying. So go be annoying to that dude. And I go, great. So there's always a possibility something can go wrong. What were they telling you in between those matches? Because one thing I remember from the Lachlan side was his energy was starting to deplete as he was going on.
Mm,
So even though you might be winning and looking great, it's still adrenaline. It's still energy that you're manifesting for a long period of time. So what was it
right.
feeling like in between the matches?
Oh man, I was just trying to catch my breath as best as possible, honestly. In between, there was only like 5 or 10 seconds in between, so I didn't have really too much time to talk to Sean or any of my team. Just grabbing water, breathing, just thinking about the next match. And I would say like a lot of the Decatur guys I do know,
Mhm.
so I would be so in between those 10 seconds, I guess I was looking at who was going next and what my game plan would be for that specific guy. Because I think out of those 5 people, I've rolled or competed with at least 3 of them I know. But so yeah, I would say within that short amount of time, I was thinking who's next,
No,
and
that
what's the
definitely
plan.
makes sense. And I mean, the weird part is I think what Brandon has done such a good job, and by extension his team, so we're talking Keelan and we're talking Isaac,
Yeah.
is they have manifested this community and made what I think is going to be the template for a much larger organization to go. So I'm pretty sure maybe, I don't know, depending on how you keep going. But let's say you do this in like 5 more years, they're going to keep
Right.
getting new people who are going to be highly competitive. It's going to be way harder to do that kind of run through, but it's never
Mm,
impossible. But what I love about them is
100%.
they have definitely created and fostered this environment where even if you know team members from the other team, there's always uncertainty whenever you're competing. So there's always a chance something kind of goes out the window, or I don't know, man. Sometimes you slip, sometimes you do a
Yep.
miscalculation, but this is just one
100%.
of those rare instances where it all kind of works out. Um, what were you feeling like though when you get to the very end and you get to running all through all 5 of their competitors? What did it feel like to be able to bring home a win? And are you able to celebrate it because some of the guys on the team are just like, good job, dude. Thanks, man. That was really cool of you to do it. No, 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 I'm happy, but like, yay.
Yeah, yeah. So once I submitted all 5 of them, I was of course very out of breath, and I went to Sean. Uh, yeah, I would say I went to Sean and I said, okay, so what's the next lineup for the finals match? Because we made it to the finals, so it was a 4-man quintet. And he said, you're going again first. I was like, okay. So really nothing was on my mind except getting to the warm-up mat and just taking as many deep breaths as I can just to get, the adrenaline, calm the adrenaline down and calm, my muscles were pumping it. And yeah, that's what I would say. I'd say just trying to calm
It's
down, honestly, because
it
it's out of breath.
sounds vaguely like, and I love Sean, so congrats to him as well. But it sounds like Sean had an intention to release you into the wild. Like his coaching strategy was, okay, I have this Tasmanian devil, go. And then when you ended that, and maybe you didn't know the rule offset like that, but
Mm,
the fact that most people would say like, hey man, the rules say this, so you're done. Like, good job, rest, you go back there, take it easy. Instead, you're like a rabid Wolverine being sent back and going like, no, we need to keep you warm. Yes, my killing machine. Yes, go back very
Yep.
quickly.
Yep.
So I like the fact that they were able to calm those things down. So when they switched you out at the top of the second round,
Yes.
what did you feel like? Because at that point you were done. It's just
Yeah.
what was going through your head. Like, were you upset or not upset, but were you sad that you didn't get to compete anymore?
Well, it is kind of weird going out there and feeling like you're about to compete against five more people, and then just sitting, being a cheerleader essentially for your teammates. So it was some relief because I was very tired, but at the end of the day, I was just happy my team was able to pull it off. Honestly, it was
I'm
it was a great time.
I'm glad that you mentioned being just a cheerleader when that's what you reduced your team to at the very beginning. So
Yeah,
I understand
this
you're
is
like,
very true.
oh, Ryan Aiken, all those other dudes, they're just my cheerleading staff. I'm the quarterback, receiver, tight end,
Yeah.
D line, all in one. So I'm gonna go and basically kick a field goal, and when I do the return, I'll be blocking for myself and then still score a set down. So I appreciate all of those things. So if that's the case, and you kind of get that moment to settle and sit, when does it kind of occur to you that like, all right, cool, now I can kind of enjoy things and just kind of observe because your team crushed it in the finals as well?
Oh, I mean, it occurs to me like pretty much immediately. Our team was filled. I mean, we had Chase, Ryan, Cam, and Steven. I knew I wasn't gonna go. I knew it wasn't gonna be a thing where like, it was gonna come down to the wire. I think any one of our teammates could have done like a quintet wipe if it was like the right time, right day, all that type of stuff. They all have, incredible skill and focus and all that type of stuff. So
Well,
I knew I was done.
that is very cool.
I knew I
And
was done.
you
Yeah.
yourself have experience being on the PGF uh, kind of in the past. What was your
Mhm.
experience like? Like, what do you think has changed or improved the most in the time since you first had experiences with that organization?
What has improved the most? I mean, the production and the social media aspect were very on point this time around. So you were hearing a lot from, the PGF Instagram and a lot of like what's that dude's name? God damn. I'm totally blanking on this. He's the meth head guy or crackhead. What is his name, dude? He came out for the weekend. Oh my God, I'll think about it. I know it's a pro jiu-jitsu fighter, so. But those guys, and then the Epic World guys who are pretty well known. I know he's a guitarist or something for the Five Finger Death Punch. So I would say just the popularity of the PGF has grown a lot. That's probably the main thing. And the production was great. Keenan always seems like he's upgrading his game. So
Yeah, I mean,
shout that out too.
the nice part about it is Keelan and Isaac and I, we've had the opportunity to work together for Subversive, and I have such admiration for the work that they do. And anybody in production, when you speak to another person in production, you have this shorthand of like, "What'd you do on this?" "Oh, okay, no, I love that. That was great.
Mm.
You got to do that more." Like, I remember very distinctly staying up with the boys probably till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., just chatting different ideas on how we would improve things or how we work on things. So when they were nice enough to call and say like, "Yo, would you do a fight companion for us?" I was like, "Absolutely. That's the easiest thing I can do." And
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
just fun to watch from the sidelines and get to roast all of you guys. And it's so weird because I didn't have a lineup for the quintets. So I had a lineup for the 8-man, and I'm familiar with your work, but when everybody appears on screen, I just go like, "Who the hell is this?" And then it
yeah.
occurs to me, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's Kevin. Okay, and he's running through everybody." And then you start thinking to yourself, you're like, okay, this is fun. This is good. And I laughed because I told Ryan in his interview, I go, I saw you there. And I thought it was like a sleight of hand. And then I kept thinking like, oh, I'm not seeing him. Oh, well, there's no reason for him to be here. Okay, good to know. So he had mentioned very warm and nice things about you. So he definitely had a lot to say that was very complimentary of what you did.
Awesome.
Is there any sort of celebration that happens? Because to me, it's got to feel good, but you guys kind of knew you were a very solid team. And the other issue is you have a 3-hour trip back. So is there any kind of moment, or is it just become like a celebration in the van? And what is that van like experience driving all the way back?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we all stayed for Elijah's final in the PGF where he won. So I think it ended up ending at like or like midnight or something like that. Everybody was super tired, so there wasn't much celebration done in Decatur because there's really nothing to do in Decatur. And the ride back's always fun. We always, are joking around and stuff. But for the most part, like the celebration's kind of done on Monday when we're all back to training and we're all just giving each other congratulations and messing around and stuff like that. So
That makes sense.
what is
And
it? Yeah.
I would tell you guys, doing different sports or competitive events in my time, there was nothing quite like the bonding that happens in that van ride to and from
Yeah,
events. So
for
I
sure.
always like to get a sense of the team and the dynamic like that. So who's driving? Because amongst you guys, I'm trying to figure out like Sean seems like the most responsible of you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So he's driving.
So I will say for this event specifically, I my dad did drive me. I drove with me and my girlfriend. I kind of skipped out on the van, but I've definitely been a part of it. And I would say either Sean or Kirby driving. Kirby being a blue belt, he's a great driver. He's just notoriously known for being a great driver. I don't know how he got that title in the gym, but he definitely does. He does all the trips to Gulf Shores, all the trips to Pensacola. He can lock in pretty well. So
Okay, let me ask this. Do you have any long van ride pet peeves? Like, do you have any moments where you kind of go like, this is not what I enjoy? Because you ended up in a car with somebody else and going
Mhm.
solo. So it meant that,
Okay, so I know exact. I the first thing popped up in my mind
okay.
when people use like that Bath and Body Works hand sanitizer. I don't know why people do it in long car trips, but I cannot stand it. Like that's the worst. It's the worst long car trip experiences I have when people use like perfumes or like those really like strong fruity hand sanitizers. Uh, yeah, that really that drives me crazy,
So
honestly.
do you just have an aversion to the smell? Because perhaps you haven't been in many other vans, but I can think of a handful of other
Yeah,
smells
yeah.
that I have wished didn't exist. At least the fruity one is like, you know what? It's better than the alternative in some ways.
Okay, so I think this was about right right when I started jiu-jitsu, I actually got COVID. And I got COVID and I lost my sense of taste and smell, but my smell never really came back. My taste did after the 2 weeks. So I go around like for the past 3 years, I can't really smell too much unless it's right up into my nose. So I think the problem with like the smelly hand sanitizers is that I actually can smell them, and it gives me a humongous headache, honestly. So that's what I would say.
Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. I have a
Yeah.
mother-in-law who has kind of like an aversion to certain like a cologne almost sort of a thing.
Hmm.
So, I before we would go out, I would sometimes put some on and I would get this look. She'd stop everything almost like she was getting a psychic vision. So she would go, oh,
Yep.
and I go, what?
Yep.
And she goes, is someone wearing cologne? And I go,
That is
I
me. That's
yeah, I
me to
go,
the
well,
T.
I am. And she goes, I can't. I like,
Yeah.
she started to act like she's
I
dying, and I
am that
go,
dramatic about it too.
"You're that."
Yeah. I will make it known that I did not like that smell.
So it got to the point where, when you pack a travel bag to go somewhere, I would look at it. I used to bring the cologne with me, and now I just go like, "Well, that's staying home, so I'm not bringing that with me." But okay, that does make sense, and I do get that.
Yeah.
Having said that, is this a sing along sort of crew? Are there songs that this crew enjoys? Because there are sometimes road songs that become famous because people love them. And I've seen
Mm.
Ryan win a tournament where he was basically just yelling out an anime sex noise, I believe, and people scream it
Yes.
back to him. So when those things happen, it tells me that there's sometimes a closeness, a kinship that happens in those things. So are you guys a sort of music bonding group when you're in the vans together?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Sean and Sean and the upper boat guys really like playing guitar and stuff like that. So they really like polyphia, which is like I don't even know how you would describe that type of music. It's not like there's no lyrics to it or anything. It's really just guitarists. But I'd say that would be like oh, what our gym's known for, honestly. Like you come into the gym, you know Polyphia is gonna be playing for
I
sure.
get that. I do appreciate that because I do see elements of your guys' culture make their way into the competitive scene. So
Mm.
there are times where I'm like, I've never been to your gym, but I know certain things about the vibe just based off of
Yeah,
interviews
definitely.
I've done and some of the guys who I've talked to over the years. So there is that. What I would like to get into now is, with all that being said, you've been pretty active on the scene, and I want to get an opportunity to kind of take a few steps back. So I'd love to know, where did jiu-jitsu begin for you? Do you remember your first class? Do you remember kind of what were the elements that got you into it?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell the entire story starting from senior year of high school. So yeah, senior year of high school, I got into I got into a fight with this kid over some girl issues. They're not relevant at all, but got into a fight. I've never fought. I've never done jiu-jitsu. Didn't even know what an armbar was. And for some reason, I thought I could beat this kid's ass. Uh, and then I fought him, and I got my ass handed to me, like very bad. And so what I decided to do was decided that the right move was to get as big as possible. So for a year after my senior year, I just spent in the gym eating as much food as I can, trying to be this mass monster. Uh, didn't really work out because my genetics didn't really allow me to do that, but we got somewhere. Sorry about that. Yeah, we got somewhere. I think I was like 195, like by far the biggest I've ever been in my life. And then one of my friends invited me to jiu-jitsu. I was like, yeah, sure. I'll show him what's up. Like, I'm jacked. I can bench whatever amount of weight. And so I went. So needless to say, I went into the my first jiu-jitsu class like on cloud nine. Like I'm the most egotistical 17, 18-year-old kid you could possibly imagine. Went into my first class, rolled with this dude named Steve Adana, one of my best friends now. This dude's probably at the time he was probably even smaller. He's probably 150 pounds. And I think he tapped me probably like 26 times in 5 minutes. So so I'm pretty much like at this point, like I'm pretty much holding tears back, like trying not to cry. And I was such a gym bro that I thought it would be a good idea to hit legs the like 2 hours before I went into jiu-jitsu. So about round four, I'm rolling with someone, I don't even remember who. And I caught like a double hamstring cramp that turned into like a quad cramp and a calf cramp. And I'm not even joking. You can ask Sean about this. I just start like bawling my eyes out in the middle of the mat. I mean, it's like I started jiu-jitsu 3 years ago, so I'm like, I think I had like facial hair and stuff. Like, it's not like I was a kid doing this. Like, I was, an adult crying in the middle of the mat, like almost screaming, crying, like throwing a temper tantrum almost because it was a mixture of how hurtful the cramps were and how bad my ego's been beaten. And Sean and Chase were laughing their asses off at me. That's probably the biggest thing I remember about that experience. But yeah, that was my first jiu-jitsu class. So if you think I might have one of the worst and best experiences in my life because that set me up for, what I am
Okay.
today and all that type
Okay.
of stuff. But
A few questions here. Number one, are you still a lifting bro? Does
no,
that still stay in, or did that give up at that point?
I have to now I have to motivate myself to lift. You know what I'm saying? Because before it's like I couldn't go a day without not lifting. Like I would freak out. But now I have to motivate myself to lift. So I'm definitely not a lifting bro, but I do try to lift.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Um, when that did happen, did you have a moment where you thought, man, I'm just losing because I didn't lift enough? Like, did it start to seep in where you were thinking like, no, just a few more benches, and if I add some more
Oh,
weight, this
100%.
dude's so cooked.
Oh, that was the first 3 months of my jiu-jitsu. It's just because I wasn't strong enough, 100%. I didn't get with the program like immediately, Like it wasn't the next day where I was like, okay, technique is king. It took me a little bit. Took a lot of ass beatings from a lot of women, honestly, to realize that strength isn't the key factor here.
So if that's the case, and this is kind of you, you're crying at this point, and you have every reason in the world probably to not even have to come back, and yet you do.
Hmm,
What does keep you
hmm.
coming back? Because I'll tell you this, I have a lot of first dayers that walk into my class, profile me, and they go like, well, this shouldn't be a problem. One of my very good students now looked at me and goes, yeah, I saw this old guy and I was like, I'm about to wreck shop, and then you hurt me a lot. And I said, well, that was me being nice, and I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't hurt you. I just hurt your ego. And so I wonder, in your particular case, what was it that drew you back if you were getting so handled to the point where tears were happening and probably
Oh yeah.
making their way through the beard?
Well, going back to the fight I had in high school,
Mm.
that's pretty much how I felt. It was pretty much the same emotion, but and I just told myself like I don't want to feel that way anymore. I have to do something about this. And I just felt very insecure that like somebody else could make me feel that way. That could make me panic like that, could control me like that. So I almost went back just because of ego, just purely ego. I just did was just gonna keep going at it until it just stopped happening. And it still happens every day, but I've accepted it.
Here's the good news, though. You're not alone. I don't think this is an isolated case, and it has produced some of the best fighters, if not champions,
Yeah.
from this very thing. So you're in good company. It's hard to accept at the very beginning. I think everybody has a
Yes,
different version of
100%.
it. And some people don't have necessarily that defense aspect. You, in your
Mm.
head, were coming to learn a skill so that you didn't get your ass beat, and then got your ass beat by people who were way more nice about it, and perhaps
Yeah.
not with the element of, well, I'm going to take your girl too, or we got some issues over
Yeah.
this girl.
Yeah, exactly. It's not with the element of embarrassment. Like you don't want to test yourself in a bunch of high school fights because they're going to be talking about you the next day. Nobody knew about this. I could just come in, get my ass beat, learn. So it was I got to grow in the room.
It definitely worked. So
Yeah.
do you ever think about this in the sense where you're like, yo, I want to call that guy up right now because I just ran through 5 dudes at Quintet. So that dude's probably not nothing right
Line them
now.
up. Line them up. Nah, nah. I don't think about that too much, honestly. It's a past life. Past life.
But I think it's a nice element that it gave you what you needed to find something that you had a skill for, but maybe you didn't know it at the time. And obviously, there's an
Mm,
element of Sean is an excellent coach, so you know, right time, right place, right instructor. So it all kind of merges together to have those things go. I would love to ask this though. Our follow up to usually your first class is always, when did you know that you actually fell in love with this? Because it sounded like at the very beginning it was a lot of ass beatings. It was a lot of, hey man, I do have this ego I've got to figure out how to quell. But it's another thing to kind of make this something where you spend so much time where you're doing it competitively and it's become more of a career for you. So when does
mm.
that love for jiu-jitsu kind of manifest and make itself into your life?
Let me think about this. Um, so I would say that I don't know the, specific day when I knew I loved jujitsu, but I know what happened when I realized I did love jujitsu. I know that doesn't really make sense, but I'll explain. Um, so growing up, I was very flaky in sports. Like I would do a spring season, but wouldn't follow through, and that was the name of the game for me in pretty much all sports I tried in high school. I stick with soccer a little bit through middle school, but for the most part, I would flake out if things got hard, if minor inconveniences. I really love sports, but purely because of the competitive aspect. But other than that, wasn't too into them. And so I think it actually took me a while to truly realize how much I love jujitsu. I would say it was about a year and a half in, honestly, where I completely tore my meniscus. It was a pretty bad meniscus tear too. I had to get surgery. Uh, and after the meniscus tear, I just noticed that because through that point, I could justify that what was keeping me going in jiu-jitsu was for competitive reasons because I was competing a lot. But when that meniscus tear happened, not only did I come in every single day, kept asking questions, like, sticked with the same program, like I didn't give up at all or anything like that. But I knew in my heart that even if this meniscus thing never never figured itself out, even if I God forbid, fucking tore my ACL completely, tore everything in my knee, and I was like the John Danaher, I couldn't even compete. Then I would still stick with jiu-jitsu, you know. It was no longer this thing where competition what drives me. It was really the passion for jiu-jitsu, and that was through the injury. Yeah.
Let's start with
What is
this.
that?
Well,
Oh, that's my W.
is somebody going to
Oh,
sneak
I
up
didn't even know
behind
my
you?
dirty laundry was right there in the fucking frame. That is disgusting.
I will be honest with you. You are not the first nor the last human being to have dirty laundry. I think what's more
Yeah,
impressive is that you
I'm
guys
sorry
have,
for that.
you're fine. What I think is more impressive is you actually have the sprayers up above you. So
Yep.
those are the mat spray. Don't
Oh
put
wait.
your head over it now. Like, at least let
Oh,
us see
okay.
it.
Wait. It's inverted. Okay. It's this way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it takes a second to get used to being on the television in this way. But yes, I see the
Yeah.
mat
Okay. I see
sprayers
where
up
it's going.
there. And the fact that you have two perfectly functional ones make me very mad when I always have to fix the one at our gym. So now I'm like looking at you guys being
Oh
like,
yeah.
y'all have extra ones over there? Some of us are
Yeah.
making good and trying to.
Those are for the reptiles. So we need a couple.
So you say reptiles as if I
Mhm.
lived there. I do not.
Oh.
What do you mean by
Yes, indeed.
reptiles, and how many of the reptiles, because it was plural, do you have? And who do they belong to?
So so they all belong to me and my girlfriend. I have a blue tongue skink, a ball python, a tortoise, a crested gecko, three green not tree dumpy frogs, two tarantulas.
Okay, let's stay on this, Kevin, because nobody else has had this assortment of animals. on the show that at least I'm aware of. Why do you
Okay.
have this many animals at your place? And when did you first start having these kind of pets? Because to me, one is usually hard. I got 2 dogs in here and I'm good. I told
Yeah.
my wife, I was
Yeah.
like, you know
Yeah. I
what?
feel that.
It's like we had kids. It was like, nope, shop's closed. 2 dogs. That's it. No more. And she'll look at them and she'll show them to me, and I go, 2. That's it. So where does this love of animals come from, and how many did you start with there?
Oh, excuse me. Uh, the love for animals has been there since, I was conscious of life. Honestly, I've loved animals since I was a kid. And I've had crazy animals growing up as a kid. So it just came from my love for animals. But yeah, hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second.
Okay, I think he's probably going to go check out potentially bringing one of the animals onto the screen here. I do notice, though, it is unusual. Not many people do have said animals in their household, let alone on the screen. But it does look like we may have a visitor. Oh my
Can you see
God.
him? Is this on camera?
Yeah, I can see it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who are
Yeah,
we
this is
meeting here,
Humphrey.
sir?
This is Humphrey right here. This is my dumpy frog. He's cool.
Humphrey is
But yeah,
adorable. When did you get Humphrey?
I got him like a year ago, I think. I think it was about a year ago. Yeah, we have three of them. We got them all at the same time. But yep, it's the
I love
guy.
this. This
He'll
again.
just stay here.
I think he can chill there. It's not a problem. I wish I could
All right,
interview
cool,
him
cool, cool.
and bring him
Yeah.
on.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I
he's
can't.
definitely much more interesting than me. So,
I think
yeah,
what is interesting to me is I think you might be the first guest to have reptiles, amphibians, at least on the show that I'm aware of. I'm trying to think of anybody else. We've had dogs appear on the show pretty
yeah.
regularly, but I think this is the first set that we've had here. So, is there plans to expand this? Are you planning more reptiles, more animals? Because to me, this seems like a pretty healthy amount of animals currently.
Yes, yes. Especially with my girlfriend in the picture, there's always room for expansion in her mind. So, you know, uh, I don't know. I don't know. My parents are gonna kill me eventually because I live in their basement. But uh, but for now, just these 7 or 8 guys. Yeah.
I do like the fact that you having them also means you volunteered your parents to have them. So
Oh
there
yeah.
is an element of your parents being like, "What'd you get now?"
Yep. Yep. For sure. We'll always say we're going to a Repticon just to look, and every single time I can convince them that we're just looking, and every single time they fall for it, and we always come back with something new.
I'm so sorry. You said a word, and I'm not sure I heard it correctly. Did you call it Repticon?
Yep, Repticon. It's just a place, or what would you call that? A festival? And what do you call those things? Like a get together. Repticon.
It's almost like, is it like a Comic Con but for
Yeah,
reptiles or
but for
something?
reptiles. Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
Wait a minute. This is completely your parents' fault at this point. How would anybody ever believe you if you said, "I'm just going to look. We won't have
I
any
know.
more animals"?
I know. My mom puts too much trust into me for sure. So.
Do you remember your first pet? And if so, when did you have it? You said they've always been in the life, but when was your first pet?
Let me think. So like growing up, I had dogs and cats always, but I don't remember I think my first dog might have been Chewy. He was a little Shih Tzu wiener dog, really funny looking dog. But my first exotic animal, I guess you would call it, would be I had this red-tailed boa that was really really cool. Growing up, he got yeah, he got pretty big. He ended up being a real dickhead, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's I forgot what. Oh, Boots. That's what his name was. Yeah,
Oh,
Boots.
Boots.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I like, you have a weird expansion of name, the gamut that you run between being like, this is Humphrey, he's a gentleman. That's Boots.
He's not so much.
He's not as
No,
much of a gentleman, if you would.
not as much as a gentleman. No. Yeah.
So let me ask this, Kevin, because this is something that I've wondered about in your particular case. You made mention of the fact that you've been grappling for just about 3 years now. And to me, you look like a very solid grappler in terms of your competition. What do you attribute that to? Like, how have you been able to make such a fast approach into our sport at a very solid competitive rate in such a short amount of time?
Well, the first factor is definitely Sean. Sean in the room are gonna be like the first and the biggest factor. Uh, Sean could take any Joe Smo and turn him into really a world-class grappler if you give him enough time and hard work, you know. So definitely the room, definitely Sean. I started jiu-jitsu 3 years ago, but I've been full time for 2.5 years. So I really like sunk in deep to it, and it's all I do. I don't work or go to college. Uh, I've just kind of committed it all to jiu-jitsu. So yeah, so and there's always like the cringy stuff athletes say, the discipline, the hard work, and then whatever, whatever. But it's really the people around me. My family, Sean, Ryan, all these guys pushing me every day. So that's why I contribute to, progressing at a faster rate than some people.
No, and I mean, it shows,
Yeah.
dude, because it is fun going through your highlights and watching you compete because you look very put together, very sound, and you've already had some very solid competitive success thus far in. So I have to ask this. Right now, I notice the beard is all trimmed, but I feel like
Yep.
you have gone through different eras because I saw the
Yep.
way more unkempt version of you. Like when you were letting that grow and go and be that person, I thought you were a different person for a split second. I was like,
Yeah.
no, that's not the
Yeah.
same kid.
Yeah.
Like I legit had to like do a double take. So what is the approach of it? Do you care to keep that trimmed? As somebody who just made a beard happen because I got bored and then it became me, like, do we expect you to have different things? Because I saw the clean shaven version of you on PGF and I thought,
Oh
this
yeah.
kid can have many different looks over the years, but which does he prefer to
Indeed.
have?
Indeed. One second, I'm gonna turn the lights on. So
Go for it, man.
these
And I have to say, I appreciate you doing that because I was starting to
yeah,
look at
I
you and
didn't
I
even
was,
notice.
well, I was
Looking
wondering
like
in post if I was going to have to clean it up. And I go, oh, but see, now we see your great face and we see Humphrey. Look at
yeah,
this.
yeah. Wait, it's this way, right? Okay,
Yeah.
there we
Oh
go.
my God. Humphrey is
Yeah,
so
that's Humphrey.
cute.
Yeah, he's the man. Shit, what was the question?
I got you, man.
What
I
was the
was just
question?
wondering,
Okay.
are we going to see multiple variations of the looks? Because it
Oh, that's
seems
right.
like this is a good kid. The other guy, he looked like you kept him in the woods for a little too long,
Okay.
and I
Yep.
wonder if he was just
100%.
raised to kill other grapplers, if he was eating just elk meat outside. Like I didn't know what that guy's
Mm,
deal is, but this is a good young man right here. So what are we
I
looking through? Are you going to be
appreciate
changing
it.
up your appearances multiple times? Because I've seen that happen with some of the people that we know in our
Mm.
similar circles.
So the strategy right now and what it's been for the past, I would say, year maybe, is I actually got a haircut yesterday. So this is the haircut, and then I just do not keep up with it at all until it gets ridiculously long, and I look like like you said, a savage. And then I just get another haircut. I don't like keep up. I don't grow like shave or anything. None of that. Just I wait until this part of my hair starts whipping me in the eye because it gets wet when it's sweaty. And the second it whips me in the eye, I go for a haircut the next day. So that's the strategy right now. I don't keep up with my beard or anything.
So you don't have to appear on camera in this capacity, uh, because there are times when I've gone on air and I go, "Oh no, I look like that. Oh, that was a choice." So there's a constant like, if I'm gonna go on screen or on this, I have to look in the mirror and go, "Yeah, I should probably fix this." Okay. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I recently did an interview where I was like, "Yo, this hair is not happening. We're doing a hat." And I normally do not wear hats, but I was like, I was trying to fix the hair, and I go, "This isn't happening." So I just look at you, and I think you can get away with that stuff because you have the multiple face look that you can get away with.
yeah.
But some
I
people
try.
do it just because they're like, "Hey, I'm competing this week, and I felt like doing something crazy, so new hair, new this."
Yeah,
So I was just trying to get a
for sure.
sense on if that's something we could expect from you in the future.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'll go clean. I'll never go clean shave again. That's never happening.
Why is that?
Uh, because I look like I'm 12 years old, so I've completely discounted that fact. But
Okay, I get
other
not
than
wanting
that,
to
I don't
look.
think I'll.
I don't think I understand not wanting to look 12, but there's going to be a
Right.
point when you hit in your older age where you're gonna want to
Mm,
look a little bit younger, where you're gonna go like, man, I wish I didn't look as old as I am now. I've always looked exactly my age. Like from
okay.
being 8 years old, I looked like I was 40. So I've just grown into being that old now. So for you, I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, dude, it's all fun and games until somebody's like, yo, what's that old man doing there? And then you're gonna be like, I'm not old, dude. I'm
Oh no,
26,
I'm
man.
gonna have to shave it. Damn. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe I'll shave it one day, but for now, definitely not. Definitely not.
So I want to go back to the competition stuff because we talked about how you were able to make it happen in a quick succession. But when do you feel like it really like clicked for you? Like when did the competition element make the most sense to you, or make sense in a way that you were like, I feel comfortable doing this?
Mm, That's a good question. Um, so honestly, like my first year, I competed after about 6 months, 4 months, 5 months, something like that, 5 months of training, and I competed a lot. And honestly, I would think that was probably one of my best attributes. I was able to stay calm during competition. Like I didn't get much anxiety. I didn't get like the first time competing nervousness type of stuff. But I will say like it's gone through ups and downs through throughout my journey, throughout my competition career. Uh, so I wouldn't say there's like I'll catch wind sometimes, but there are definitely times where I would think like you would think this it was my first time competing, like I'm so nervous for whatever reason. But as of right now, I feel like I feel good, feel confident. But I've said that before in choked matches, so it's up and down, but it's part of the game.
I mean, I also think it's ebb and flow. I don't know that I've seen you personally be somebody who talks trash, so
Mm,
it's not like a terrible thing if you have a bad performance. It's not like you talked about your
mm.
opponent. You're like, this dude's so trash. If he's ever gonna beat me, I'm not doing. Oh man, he beat me. Shit. Okay, like I think it's a little bit different. I mean, I want to ask this because it is very interesting to see your progression, and I need to get some clarity on this. But Kevin, you are technically still a purple belt, right?
Yep, purple
Okay,
belt. I think I got my purple belt December, so
you got
almost a
your
year.
purple belt in
Almost a year.
December.
Yep.
Okay. Leglock Assassins was saying, is he the number one purple belt in that format right now? I think that has to feel good, but in your
Mm.
space, I have to tell you as an observer, I myself am a purple belt, and I look at you and I go, I don't know, man. I think you're pretty up there, especially given how you're competing. For you, what are the things that you want to accomplish as a purple belt before you get that big advancement? Because I have to imagine it's coming sooner than later.
Oh, um, man, I don't know if I really have like achievements like that I want to achieve before like the next belt. I really look at some belts like I'll just get the belts when Sean thinks I'm ready for the belts. I don't put like, oh, I need to win this. That's a purple belt to be a brown belt. I never really viewed belts in that way. So I will say, while I was saying all of that, I would like there are a couple people who have beaten me that are purple belts that I would like to have rematches with. That would make me feel like a high end purple belt, I guess you could say.
I think what
Uh,
you're listing off here is a perfectly reasonable thing to be like,
yeah.
yo, I want to get a couple back before you belt me up. But who are the people that you would like to have those rematches with?
So man, I hate calls, but the two that come to mind, they're both. I'm pretty sure they're both purple belts, or Davis Asari and Michael Zanes. Michael Zanes is like this young kid coming out of Miami, really tough. I think he's like 16 or 17 years old. He beat me at the last trials, and then Davis Asari beat the living shit out of me at a ADCC Open a while back. So definitely want to run those two
When
back.
you say beat the living shit out of you, are we talking like did he steal your girlfriend? Like what happened here? Was it a
I mean,
point
that's what it
situation or
felt
was it
like.
a submission?
He did end up, yeah, he did submit me. He did armbar me. I will, yeah, he fucked me up. I I'm not gonna give myself excuses, but I think if we ran it back, the match would have been quite a bit different.
And if I would be so, I guess maybe uncouth, if you would. But I don't think that was like a major call out. I was just like, hey, who would you like to get matches back with? There's no shit talking on your part. You're just like, hey, man, I'd like to get it back. I think any competitive person in the world should be able to say that thing. But I like that you're like, oh, I don't want to be controversial here.
Yeah,
But,
I don't know, I don't know. But,
well, the one thing I think you're aware of is most people have very soft feelings and you never know who you're going to upset in any given region. But I think you should be able to at least say, like, yeah, I'd run it back because it's not like you're sitting there saying, that dude was trash. I thought he was garbage. I ate some bad salmon that day. Oh, man, I forgot my astrology sign said I don't have good moon Sundays. Like, there's none of that. It's just you saying, yeah, I'd like to get those back. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, they're my respectful comments.
Absolutely. In fact, you know what? I think that's what I'm going to start doing. I think if I ever run an organization, it's just going to be respectful call outs. And it's just going to be,
Yeah.
instead of the really dumb shit talking people doing that to each other, it's just going to be like, I'd like to call out William Tackett. William Tackett,
There we
you're a
go.
good man. I like you. You seem to always help old ladies cross the street, but you know what? I want to help you get your first loss, young man, in the past 3 months. Like, I think that would be kind of dope to do it that way. Because,
Yeah, man, that's almost more disrespectful if you do it that respectfully.
to be honest, and let me clue you in here. I'm very good at doing the disrespectful thing. Like,
Oh, okay.
I I'm probably better at shit talking than I am at jujitsu. So, I think
Nice.
that's my little specialty region. And I think the worst is when I've been beating people at jiu-jitsu and roasting them at the same time, and then they go like, hey man, it's cool to not be good at jiu-jitsu, but it really sucks when you're beating me at jiu-jitsu and making fun of me. And I'm like, that's why I do it. I can't do it to a lot of people, so when I can do it to somebody, I make sure that I get my time in. So I make sure to make it work like this. Well, Kevin, I want to do this. I want to be respectful of your time, but I would love for you to have an opportunity right now to go ahead and look into the camera. And if you
Okay.
would like to, uh, shout out the people, all of those folks who helped to give you the great performance that you had at the quintet, and to plug any sponsors or anybody who's been taking care of you. The floor is all yours, sir.
Sweet. First, I would like to thank 10th Planet Atlanta, everyone who helps me get better every single day. I love all you guys. Thank you to my family for supporting me throughout my whole career, my whole 3 year career. Appreciate you guys. And shout out Lake Lock Assassins if you guys want awesome rash guards. They sell shorts, hoodies, hats, everything you can think of. Go to assassinsapparel.com and use Kevin15 for 15% off any gear.
Well,
And
Kevin,
that's
I
all I
have to
got.
say this about you, man. Congratulations to you. I mean, I think you're a good model for where people could be in 3 years in a short amount of time. Like, I think that you've cut the distance. You're doing a lot of us purple belts proud. So, congrats to you, man. But I think
So,
it's only a matter of time before we see you get promoted very, very quickly. And I want to tell you this. I think just continue to do what you do. Work with Sean. Work with all these good guys that you're in the training room with, and we will be here and watching you continue to do the big thing, man.
sweet. Thank you so much, man. That means everything.
Not a problem. All right, I'm gonna say bye to you off air, but I'm gonna close this off. But I'll see you in just a second, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, you guys, that is going to do it for us here. But before we get on out of here, a couple quick things. First and foremost, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have nothing to comment about, I guess we should say this. What is your most unusual pet that you have owned? Because I've never had a frog in my house. Kevin has. What have you guys had? And don't say dog or cat because we got those. Those are like the two that everybody. I got a dog barking right now. I'm pretty sure you can faintly hear, but I've done my best with this microphone so that you can't. So tell us that in the comments section. Also, go to HY.PAGE /grappling hour if you want to become a member and support this show. Your support means the world to me and actually makes it so that I can buy new products, buy new equipment, all this sort of stuff. This this didn't happen by itself. I've got to be able to get the monies to do it. And what do you get in exchange? You get to see these interviews 30 days before anybody else. And if you pay a few extra dollars, you also get to check out our tape studies with athletes. You get to check out Roast Raf, where people roast my competition footage. Because unlike some people on this call, I don't just do good. Okay? Not as good as this chap after this dude's been doing it 3 years. What's my excuse, dude? I think that somebody needs to figure that out. Take part of that dude's brain, put it into mine so that some of this stuff makes sense. Anyway, so do that and yeah, HY.PAGE /grappling hour. And if you'd like, join our Discord so that you continue the conversations that we have here on this show. My friends, thank you so much for watching. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.